Hi, good evening, Melissa, Lucid, and welcome to 360 Art Drops with the Z. Thank you all for being here for Melissa Lucid's artwork and presentation and energetically or monetarily helping us out. And we're super stoked to have Melissa Lucid on here today. She's an
Yay!
yeah, sorry. Yay! So she's an abstract expressionist, and she's gonna show us all about her artwork and explain her journey first. Go ahead.
Okay, good morning. So here it's not morning. So as far as like my journey goes, it's been a very long journey. And if I were to like short circuit like my journey, it would be I went from being like a really big like art on clothing artist to transferring into like doing all of my art and telling stories on an actual canvas, which is really dope. So as we go along, I can talk to you more about that, but it's really cool to tell other people's stories.
Right. Yeah, most people do it the opposite way. What inspired you to go from clothing to canvas?
Okay, so when I went from clothing to canvas, it was like the economy like kind of bottomed out, but I saw each person and heard their stories, and I decided to say in my head like I can make a spiritual compass for each person and kind of hone in to what their story is. And it was a very cool thing, so I could see like by the way a person dressed or like by meeting them or their energy, I could like feel it and then hone it into 3 words and then transfer it to a canvas that was abstract. Like behind me you can see it, but there's like words.
That's
and then
really beautiful. All of them are so beautiful. I want to own them all.
Oh, they're hugging you. That's the whole point. So when I talk to people about art and the journey, it's always about telling a story.
So can you show us do you have the first canvas that you did that you started transferring your clothing to canvas, your journey, or did you sell that?
No, I really wish I could, but the really cool, amazing thing about my work is typically it sells within 2 weeks. It's higher end, like kind of like going from like regular denim to like DKNY or Calvin Klein or any other brand. My art is like kind of like an upscale brand, but there's a reason for it. So I don't have a piece here to show
Do you
you that
have
would tell you that story, but I wish I did.
Oh, like any of the first ones? Like, do you have any of your, or what would be the first one that you have in your studio that would show?
Okay, I can find something that's like I have some that's kind of closer. Hold on one second. As far as like an abstract goes, like so it's kind of like the clothing, and then there's like a dramatic like line interrupting it. So this is one.
Nice. And then, like, what would you say is the latest piece of canvas that you just worked on?
Okay, so the latest, there's 2. Okay, so this one is like organically me. And don't like that silence at all. So here it is like a time where people appreciate and celebrate, a time that's like Thanksgiving and also like spookiness and pumpkins and gourds. Yes. So it's like a thing that people do. So I did a pumpkin. It's very tiny, but
I saw that pumpkin.
Yeah. So it's me like celebrating the time of people making pumpkin pie, etc. It's not fun, but for me, it's like I have to focus in. So I'll show you. Ompa. Okay, so this is
October 3rd.
I really wish that like there's some like very yummy textures that are like included. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I love texture. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
I've done some oil paintings where I did it with the paint knives and the texture just pops right off.
So you enjoy like a palette knife and the like I like the interruption of like a cross point with a round structure. I
Yeah,
teach
I
art
see
as
that.
well, so like I really enjoy like the round with the interruption.
Nice, nice.
So that's the latest.
You knew I was an artist. What I forgot to ask you before we go on, where are you right now?
I'm in Ohio, and
Okay.
okay, this is the other one. I want to show you this one because it's very black and white. So I'm in Ohio.
Okay. I really like this one. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I feel like it's the
Absolutely.
wrong
Is that 30 by 40 or what is it?
yes. Now it's streetwear. It's 30 by 40, yes.
Yeah, I love doing 30 by 40s. I feel like that's a
Yeah,
good
because
size.
it like yes. So
Yeah.
so yeah.
Um, okay, hold on.
I
Um,
know it's so early for you, so I'm trying to like make my mind bend backwards.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so do you do any commissions or collaborations?
In the past, I've done several collaborations, which are very fun, but I feel like that's more for like the growth of an artist.
Yeah,
And then the only way that, okay, so I'm a full-time artist. I don't know how many full-time artists you work with, but like the only way that I can like eat and breathe and live my life is through commissions and custom art.
okay,
So
okay. So
everything I
you do
do
a
is
lot
pretty,
of commissions.
yeah, commissions is how I.
Um, so the commissions, do you how do you blend your artistic vision with the client's expectations?
Sophie, you're amazing. Can I hug you?
Oh, I would have
I
you.
love
You're
it because
beautiful.
that's such a great question. Because as an abstract artist, people are like always like, oh, I would love to get that in my home, but how do I make that custom?
Oh, okay, okay.
So I'm kind of giving you a secret, but kind of not. So like how
Right.
I do it is I have each client tell me 3 words, and they're usually like a descriptive thing. Like if it is you, Sophie, I would look at like how you're dressed,
Right.
and then you said you have tang in the morning. So I would like kind of mirror.
Oh my God. Okay.
I really would like I would utilize the fact that you use like these things in your life. So like maybe a bright orange, but in juxtaposition, like you and your
Right.
beautiful smile and all these things about you in the background. And then I would let you choose your own 3 words. And then that is my blueprint. So your
Oh,
three
okay.
words are my poetic start to how I begin doing my art. And then I always ask every single client the same question. I said, hey, would you like to like have it on the flip side or would you like to see the words on the actual canvas? So it's either a secret for the person
Uh-huh.
or they can see it in person and like I make them come clear across. And
Uh-huh.
then I have them take one picture. This is the second thing. So I have them take a picture of their closet or a place in their home that they feel like describes them. So some
Oh,
people
okay.
might, it might be their closet or their kitchen. For
Uh-huh.
me, it's like my shoes. See my shoes?
Ah,
So I,
nice.
I showcase my shoes. Yes. So like there's like all these things that you can do to showcase who you are. So my first thing is the 3 words. The second thing is always like a location. So it's either your closet or your kitchen or whatever it is that you feel like is you. And
Uh,
then the third thing is like a background color because it's abstract. I'm like, would you like a neutral color? Or and then from there on out, like I kind of like hone in on what the piece will be.
that's such an interesting process, and I haven't heard anyone so far that, and you're thing, I think you're my lucky 45th or lucky 46th podcast so far in the last 2 to 3 months. And I'm
Oh,
really so happy to
yeah.
have you on here.
This is not Tang. It's my glass of wine. I was waiting for you to like to be like to toast you.
Okay, let me toast you. And I just wanted to say this is a very interesting and a unique process for an artist to have, because I haven't heard anybody talk about commissions in such a way. Like it's a really well, resounding it's a really unique process. And okay, so the commissions, you charge extra for commissions, or
I have chosen, I get a lot of feedback because I have high-end art. I
right?
have chosen not to do that because I feel like I want everyone to own real art, like actual tangible things that they can like touch and
Right.
feel. So for me, it's very vital to like not charge extra for something that should be available to everyone.
Okay.
And your story, like your story, my story, everybody's story should be exactly on the same level as far as how we go about the process. So I do not ever charge extra.
Okay. I also like how you name your canvases each a story, because I have many different processes, and a lot of them go with the flow of my imagination, but I wouldn't say each of my canvases held a particular story. Some of mine do, some of mine definitely do, but not everyone, or not every single piece. And I think that's such a great, excellent way to break into the artist world, and be high end. And
Also, like a standpoint of time, I've been doing this for a while. So like
yeah,
as far as doing it for a while, to me in my head, I think about it like I'd rather sit on it and like carry over cooking time or something and not make a penny. I'd rather make $0 and 0 cents and the true organic story come into play and
right.
it be like I would rather it be like a story that is like organically to like if you watch a movie, you want to watch the whole thing. So for me, it's like I will not paint for 3 or 4 days and I'll be sitting in my own thoughts, wondering what will happen next. And I'll begin to write. And I feel like the
Right.
writing process ignites the rest.
How many years have you been painting now?
I mean, I texted my best friend before I talked to you. This is kind of amazing. I've been best friends with her since I was 4. And I said, I know she's going to ask because I've been interviewed like like a couple times. And I was like, I never know the answer. And she said to me, I'm going to cry.
Don't cry.
She said, I've been best friends with her since I was 4. She said, you've always been an artist. So I guess it's like my whole life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember not. I remember as a child, like there was like dust particles like kind of floating. And I remember like trying to like figure out a way to transpose that.
Right.
So my whole life. But like professionally, probably 13 years.
Yeah. I understand, because for me, I was the same way too. Like I was really artistic as a kid as well. But if you ask me, like I'm 42 now, and if you ask me like how long I've been an artist, I'd probably just say like 20 years, because I never called myself an artist before that, and I think like
Is
that
that the point where you started to like, when you say like that exact moment of 20 years, was that the point where you were like, okay, this is like coming together and this is who I am?
Yeah, exactly. Because I went from being a science degree to being into banking and marketing and advertising and payroll account management, to jumping into art, just art full time, just only art, and
That's
like,
very beautiful to me because I was a kinesiology degree. I was going to be a dietitian. So
okay,
for me, it was very similar to you. It was like my direction was supposed to be this way, but my whole brain was like this way.
yeah. And it took a while to just say, okay, I'm gonna say I'm an artist. Like, can I say I'm an artist now? You know?
You can see you're an artist, so can
Yeah.
I.
Look at that. So okay, so what how do you keep your balance between your personal responsibilities and your art, like so that you're earning enough money so you can keep yourself going and all the other responsibilities you have at home.
I always compare it to skydiving. I love skydiving. I've lived in a tent and I lived in basically a mansion. I have lived under a household of abuse and I lived under a household of the blessings of God and nature. So I feel like to me, the balance is that of listening to the inside of me and
Yeah.
following art. So
Uh-huh.
that's an ebb and flow of like having nothing and then saving back. I've made so much. I have walked the red carpets. I met very famous people, and I've also had nothing. I've eaten with people that I can't dream of, even like the
Yeah.
Food Network people. And then I've also had days where I was vegan for like a very long time.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like it's like an ebb and flow and becoming one with what you know is truly you.
Yeah.
That's a good answer because I feel like the question you're asking me is like a balance. I feel like as an artist, we are very special in the way I hate to use the word special, but we're special in the way of like knowing that we have to put aside like humanity for
Yeah.
other people. We're supposed to be the voice for the voiceless.
Yes.
So there are times where we have nothing.
Yeah. I can see that. I can relate to that, and I feel like it's very well spoken. Um, what I just wanted you, before we keep going, to throw out all your social media platforms so people know how to reach you and know how to get a hold of you if they want their story on
Okay.
the canvas.
Okay. So to reach out to me on Facebook, it's kind of at a cutoff, but there are pages that they can go under. It's Mel Artwork because I go by Mel typically, and on Instagram it's Mel underscore artwork.
Okay.
And yes, so I'm starting up other platforms. So to get
Okay.
to me, typically I would just say send me a message and I'll find a way on either one of those.
Okay. Okay. And can you explain the process of your favorite piece, or your favorite piece that's already been done? Like the
Okay, so
yeah.
I have a pieces like it is kind of like a series, and there are several that I will never sell, and I underline that I've been offered a lot of money, or money is no issue with this. It is like my storytellers. There's one behind me, which is actually for sale. It's kind of the story of who we are. So I always believe that when you're telling a story, it should be something like moving throughout. But for me, it's like I start with this like beautiful scene and then move. So I have one behind me I'm going to show you because I don't have a lot. I actually kind of sell them. Um, but I did keep this one. Wish I had some music to play for you. So, okay, here we go.
Oh
So
wow, that looks
you
totally
can
different from farther apart and like closer together.
right. So usually you can typically see a man and a woman or a people grouping, and depending on where they are, I've lived in different areas and they tell different stories. So sometimes they're exciting. I have a New York City one. I have different ones that tell different stories. I
Is
have
this like
one
the
where
story of a collective then, or
yes, so this is a collection. And then like my collectors have some of them, and sometimes there's like little puppies or a
yeah?
yo-yo or whatever may happen inside of it, but this is like the organic story of what I believe in storytelling to be.
Uh-huh. It
So
looks
this is the
very nice.
storyteller. So this is like one that I have in my studio currently.
Very nice. So like when you were growing up to now, like what are the biggest challenges that you had to face, when you were younger, and also what are the biggest challenges that you face now in order to, keep things going?
So as an adult artist,
Yeah.
the biggest challenge for me is there's probably five or six actually. I have a mentor and she's amazing and she worked for Jim Henson. So that's like a very big deal here because Jim Henson's like a puppeteer that
Right,
people
right.
know from Sesame Street.
Uh-huh.
So she is my mentor and I have the same belief or the same philosophy. I will constantly bring other artists up. The problem is there's like this mirage that artists make a ton of money. We do not. We have to like work endlessly.
Yeah.
And for people, I have prints, but I also feel like for people to own original art, like we are very giving people as artisans. So I will give to people that I feel like should be given to, or um, there's another issue with maybe over time the economy being a problem.
Yeah.
And I know you know what I mean.
Did
So
COVID hit
we
you?
make and we make nothing. So the problem
Right.
is musicians, and I have a lot of friends that are musicians, they have a tip jar. And then for us, it's like you get notoriety, but it's like, oh, like a tip, like you don't make money from people thinking you're amazing.
Right.
So that's the biggest problem is people thinking that because your work is beautiful or because you're in galleries, which I am, or you're being seen in all these places, that
Uh-huh.
doesn't always necessarily mean that you're making a lot of money.
Right. Yeah, I completely understand. What about when you were little? Like you were like transferring and just starting to be an artist and just call yourself an artist. What was the biggest challenge then?
The biggest challenge then is that nobody understands not one person, no one understands that because uh I was training with okay, here in Ohio, there's a baseball team called, it's the Miami Redhawks.
Right.
And I was in for kinesiology. So I was training with the boys baseball team. So I have this like very intense mentality to do what I'm doing. And I was like sketching in my books and um my teachers and professors were like, what's happening here? You don't need to be in for it to be a dietitian. You should definitely be in for this. So it was always like the odd man out syndrome. And it was also a
Okay.
very spiritual thing at all times for me. It was like a catch 22 because I could identify with a person immediately. Like, I don't know you, but I know you. Like,
Right.
immediately I could feel what, like, I have this presence, this empathetic spirit for people. And so to me, the biggest problem as a child is like having this ill fitting suit. It's like,
Right.
it's like, if I were to be an astronaut, I'm walking out there without the suit
Right.
at all. I'm
Right.
willing to walk out there because I'm willing to see what's out there.
Yeah.
Is that a,
For
I
yeah,
feel like that's not specific enough.
makes complete sense. Like for me, the family and we were more encouraged engineering and lawyers and all those types of professions.
I
Um,
love hearing you say that because my family is very similar. And also, the umbrella with what you're saying, because that's very familiar to me, is spirituality as far as religion. My family is very religious, which is beautiful, but
yeah,
also a juxtaposition to like what is who I am.
yeah, yes. My family is really religious too. It's sort of funny, like there's so much artwork in the culture, culture of India. Like I was born here and then I lived in California, over 30 plus years and then came back here about 5, 6 years ago. And there's so much art in the temples and religious spaces that you go and you see stuff and you see so much
It's so
so much work.
weird. Yes.
but then, they don't want you to be an artist. They would like prefer if I was a scientist, or, I mean, now they've kind of accepted me that, like, yes, I'm an artist. And sometimes
Yes, you are.
I'm a really high-end artist too, but not always. Sometimes I give things away also, or if it's like to an
That
appropriate
okay, giving things
person.
away does not negate that you are a high. In fact, that makes you a higher. I
Yeah,
think you know what I'm saying. Like
yeah,
your
I
heart
do.
should also lead as well sometimes.
And also just to provide that service for people who are not always high end, that high end community
Or don't have the
research.
ability to be able to be, but maybe in 20 years they will be.
Yeah,
That's the way that life, and I don't know what religion you are, but like that's the way it happens.
yeah,
Like literally, that's the way that life works. I've had everything and I've had literally nothing, and that's the way life works.
yeah. And I
You
think a
are
lot of
more of
artists
a
have this,
scientist
huh?
than you. I hear your story and I hear you talking about being a scientist, and I feel like the science behind art is so beautiful.
Yeah,
You
there is
could see
science
yourself.
behind it. Yeah. And I mean, and I think all of us artists also experience the like really lows and the really highs until we start like establishing ourselves like every day, like we all go through that. And even if we're, high end or whatever, we still experience that because we're always trying to find new clients. It's always a good idea to get yourself out there. The struggle is always, it continues. I mean, it's just like in any other profession, but we face it a little harder, I think.
I think it's harder because I always have the analogy of like it's not even about a client or a person or money. We need to like survive, obviously, but like it's like a flag on the moon.
Yeah.
Okay, by the way, this is my first paintbrush I've
Oh,
ever painted with. My family is
nice.
against tattoos, so
Nice.
this is the first paintbrush I ever painted with, like literally.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so I use the analogy of like the flag on the moon because we can have all the clients in the world, but you and I, because you're so amazing, you put your flag on. I love I love that you have so many people that you talk to everywhere. If it was like
Yeah.
3 o'clock in the morning and I was gonna like set my alarm because I feel like you're worth it. And art
Oh,
is worth it. And our story, your story and my story is completely worth it.
right. Yes. Do you have like other like success stories, or you touched a client heart so much that they there was such a reaction that you couldn't believe? Like, can you share with us some of your uh case case studies with your clients, like their amazing reactions? Or
I will share one because almost every one of mine is like the most beautiful thing ever, but I want to share one specific story with you. I did not expect this, so I'm like I have the chills all over my body. So I work with a family that had adopted a daughter out of Africa.
okay.
And okay, so they had sent me their adoption story and they gave me their 3 words, 1, 2, 3 words.
uh,
And they gave me a flower
uh,
and I don't typically do like a lot of realism, but I was moved unbelievably so by their story of adoption and their whole everything. So I painted it and it turned out the daughter was found in the trash in Africa. So I painted this story and I believe that no human is trash ever. So when I painted the story, I actually took out of the trash like wooden skewers and actual trash and morphed it into this beautiful painting.
okay.
And as I did, yeah, it was amazing. So this little girl, and they did not show any pictures. So as this little girl grew up, she was like probably 4.
Uh-huh.
I never thought about it again. She has this painting above her bed. It's like a substantial piece. It's probably about 4 by 5. It's like as big as me. I'm very tiny, by the way.
Wow. Yeah.
She has
I
this
love doing big
painting.
house. I love doing big
So
house.
she has this painting above her bed for years.
Uh-huh.
And as she goes to bed every night, this is I'm trying so hard to not cry. As she goes to bed every night, her parents would tell her the story of how she was adopted. And then like years passed, it's probably like she's like probably 5 to 7 years old now. Her house caught fire and
Oh
the
no.
painting caught fire, and her house is gorgeous. Like she lives in a beautiful home. Her family does really well. And I had not heard from I had no idea this had happened. So the father reached out to me and he said, can you please repaint the painting? And I've never had that happen. So I was
Right.
like, oh my gut is like, I get very ill because it's a spiritual experience for me.
Right.
So I decided to take the writing of what I had done the first time and catch it on fire, like a real fire, because our house
Right.
caught fire. And I
Right.
took the ashes and I painted with all the ashes.
Oh
And
wow.
as I painted with the ashes, I made it's called a tip trick. A triptych. I'm very
Triptych,
dyslexic,
yeah,
by the way.
you're right.
I
Correct. No, you're
am
correct.
dyslexic. Like everything I do is like absolutely backwards. So I did that and I flipped it over and then saw all three of them standing in front of me. It was like all these flowers and beauty. And I sent the piece and he said she cannot believe it because she couldn't sleep. He told her the story for so many years with the piece above her bed, and
Right.
it was kind of drab, and now she has this new piece above her bed that tells the whole story of her
Right.
new life and her new like redemption story of like
Right.
ashes to beauty. With there was like all these vines going through it, and I literally used ashes to paint the painting.
That is
And
such
I don't
an
know, like
amazing
to
story.
me, like people cry or people have a story, but to me, that meant more to me than any money on earth could ever, like nothing could ever do that.
Replace
Like,
that, yeah. So like we've heard from you. I think I'm
I
gonna
know you
label your episode Voice for the Voiceless because I thought that was a very powerful phrase that you used. I just we're gonna wrap it up now and I just wanted to if there's anything else that you wanted to say to reach out to our audience or anything else that meant that you wanted to impart your words or depart with your words now.
I just want to say I will continue to be the voice for the voiceless. Always. Always. There's like sometimes quiet moments, and these are the moments where I can do that for you through art.
Yeah,
So,
I
oh my
love having you on here. Yeah, I saw the cat. I just loved having you on here and
God.
big kisses and hugs and I hope to have you on again soon, when you have more pieces and more
Yes,
developments
yes,
in your
love
life.
that.
Yeah. I loved having you on here. It was such a great experience. Thank you so much, Melissa.
I thank you as well. Thank you.
Okay. I will talk to you soon, okay?
I love you.
You.